what do they want with it? What do they like? Because then it just feels like you're buying up pieces of America, which does look like what's happening. I never thought that like we would be for sale this hard. I knew we were for sale for like the Epstein billionaires. I didn't know we were for sale to like anybody. I can't imagine what that was like for this week. Being with Trump in China and being a translator. Because Trump being himself, and once again, 80-year-old man that is just, saying his thoughts out loud. Even when he was on Air Force One and he was coming back. He was Air Force One. He was coming back. And then a journalist asked him, did you talk to President Xi about the cyber attacks that China's been engaging in that have been digging into our infrastructure or just like threatening our financial systems? Like did that come up at all? And I wish I could have been on that plane. I wish I could have been on that plane to then ask the journalist, what do you think? No, like truly, what do you think? This guy on camera for the world was like, we have more Chinese restaurants than y'all. That's the guy you think asked about cybersecurity. And then Trump starts to answer a question. Trump is basically like, hey, look, it didn't come up in that way, but they spy on us and we spy on them and we do a bunch of spying on them. Like everything they do to us, we do to them too. And I was like, what are you doing right now? What are you doing right now? What are you saying? They're still watching, by the way. You haven't taken off yet, I don't think. You're still there. It's like, yeah, everything that they do to us, we do to them too. And sometimes we do even more. Like they have spies over here, but we got plenty of spies over there doing all the spying. I want you to imagine for a second. Being a Chinese spy here. You're a Chinese spy and you're here. You're in the U.S. and you're a Chinese spy. You're a Chinese spy here. And you're watching that and you're a Chinese spy here. And you watch, I feel like he has made the job of a Chinese spy so difficult because he tells everything already. So then there's nothing for the Chinese to spy on. He'll just say stuff and then the Chinese spy will be like, that's what I was about to WhatsApp anyway. This man taking my whole job. They think I'm not doing work. They think I'm up here sipping Mai Tais and stuff because every time I try to send them something that's already in the news because he already said it, I can't even spy fast enough because he's saying everything too quick. Trump is over here being like, yeah, they spy on us, but we spy on them above. We doing all manner of stuff to them, spying on them consistently. We can't stop spying on them. Imagine, you're an American spying in China. And you're watching that and you're like, oh. It's like, oh, they spy on us. We spy on them. We spy on them a heck of a, they're doing a lot of stuff to us. But, I told them, we do stuff to y'all all the time. Stuff you probably don't even know about. I was like, shut up. 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 Shut up, shut up, shut up. Oh, shut up. Oh, shut up.
I've been very excited to come back to Asheville. Mainly because, I'll be honest with you, all right? This is as a visitor, this is outside looking in, I'm telling you. Y'all's food has no business being as good as it is. This is crazy. I live in New York and I'll meet people who are from Asheville and they'll tell you which 9 places to go. And usually when someone gives you a list of places to go and the list is longer than you could possibly visit, they're like, okay, here's 9 things, but these 3 are what you really want to make sure you don't miss. The others are really good, but these 3 are the best. Don't let yourself miss out. And I went to ask my friend, we got 9 recommendations, and I was like, so which are like the top 3? And they were like, top. I gave you 9 because you should go to 9. Like, I'm only here for a day. How am I going to make it to 9 places? They're like, you need to make time is what you need to do. Y'all have a thing here where because the food is so good and some people aren't expecting it, you know, you get people who just involuntary. You know, you're at a restaurant, you're enjoying your food. It's good food, but you're used to good food. And then you hear someone else who's, I guess, used to gruel. Because then they taste the food and they're like, oh. And those sort of sounds, I think they're meant to be involuntary. You know, it's kind of like a laugh. It's like if you try to force a laugh, you look insane. But if somebody makes you laugh and it's genuine, it's organic, you can feel it, it's a beautiful thing. When someone cooks something so good that it makes you just go like, wow. You can tell a difference when somebody's cooked something nasty and you try to keep up appearances because these are like your new in-laws or whatever, and you don't want to make a bad impression even though you didn't cook it, you know what I mean? But you want to be polite, and so you try it and you're like, oh, like you can't even remember how to do a decent one. The impression of a is so bad when it's not good. Oh, yeah. Oh, I've tried to fake an before. I did. I was at a friend's place and I hadn't seen her in a while, and then she was cooking. So when she cooked, I was like, that's nice that someone would make me a meal. I'm gonna at least try it. It was okay. She had made these like barbecue pork chops, but then had put them into like her own version of a pad thai. Thank you. There's a time to experiment, and then there's a time to be regular. Like, master being regular before you go off into your own realm of foods that don't exist like that. Like, she didn't try to recreate like an actual Chinese dish or something like that. This was just something she was like, yeah, I just threw something together. And it's like, don't ever throw again. You need to be pitching underhanded the way that you... This is crazy. Okay, so... The plate had 3 pork chops on it. And it had, you know, the noodles and some veggies and stuff. And the sauce was great, but this is the thing. A lot of people like to hide behind sauce. All right? There's a lot of culinary cowards out there. Terrified of their own cooking, so they're like, let's lather it in sauce. Let's basically make it crunchy or chewy sauce. And so she had the sauce in there, and I don't know how she did it. I don't know what happened. But one of those pork chops was raw. And this is the magic trick of it. I watched them be on the grill. I watched it happen. I watched her put all 3. I watched her flip all 3. I watched her take all 3 and put them on the plate. And then one of them just protested. One of them was like, no, being murdered was bad enough. I will not be cooked. And what do? I got this plate of food in front of me, and you know, if you go to somebody's place, and you're like, oh, I just ate. I just ate. Now that gets you out of a little bit of trouble. You still gotta taste it, whatever it is, but no one expects you to finish it. You just ate. And then if they ask you what you ate, you come up with like 4 or 5 dishes. Show them you have no room in your stomach. But I had said I ate before I got there, which was true. I was never going to finish this whole plate, but I bit into the first pork chop, and it was halfway decent. It was a little tough. It took more chewing than felt comfortable or right. It didn't feel like eating so much as training my jaw. It felt like one of the only things missing from those Rocky montages. Like he need to run up the stairs, he need to punch the meat, but then he need to chew this. And then he'll be able to take on that Russian one that gave him so much trouble, gave him all the brain damage. You remember Rocky IV. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, I gotta bite each one of these, because then that looks the messiest, and then that looks like I at least gave it a fair shot. Also, taking a bite out of each one ensures she'll never do this to anybody ever again, because she can't repurpose it as leftovers. Because the only thing worse than nasty food is nasty leftovers. That means that somebody saw what they cooked and decided it wasn't a war crime, and then put it in a refrigerator and then microwaved it. Because you know how bad food's always better after being in the microwave. And so I went to take a bite of the second one, and it was somehow just as chewy as the first one. But that second one was, you could tell, I was like, man, this is going to be the thing that takes me out. This is raw meat. This is raw meat with sauce. I don't know how she did it to me, but she really gonna kill me. This is an op. And so then I took a bite of the third one. And the third one actually, wow, Goldilocks, because that one was not bad. That one, and maybe it took less chewing, or maybe my jaw had just been conditioned to the point where this third one was like easy money, because I was used to eating raw pork chop and eating tough pork chop. Said all that to say that she had the nerve. She had, okay. She's a good person, but she had the wherewithal, which is insane. She had the wherewithal to ask me how it was, even though she could see my eyes, because I was giving it away. I was tearing up. I was eating raw meat to be polite to you, my friend. You know, I'm not doing what I want to do. What I want to do is, why would you do this to me? Why would you, after the first bite, why would you do this to me? I thought we had a real friendship. Why would you try? Who put you up to it? But I was like, she's like, how is it? I was like, already my eyes are too wide for me to lie. How is it? You see how it's not believable? Yeah, it's crazy. This dude, Reckless Ben, even got swatted. Yeah, got swatted. Was in his Airbnb with his friends. They were trying to figure out how they're going to serve these papers. The person that was there to serve the papers also, because they keep not having the opportunity to serve, because every time they try to like knock on the door and serve the papers or something, this Josh seemed to be calling the police on them, and then the police show up with like a different thing. Now they talk to the police every single time, and every single time they talk to the police are like, yeah, actually, you don't seem to be doing anything worth calling us for, and then they leave. But still, he won't open the door, so then they can't serve him. And so then the person that's meant to serve Josh just starts hanging out with Reckless Ben all day because they can't serve the papers. So then they kind of just have a sidekick for a good portion of this journey. Like, and yeah, they get swatted, all this stuff. Like, eventually there's threats on Josh. They arrest Ben, and Josh basically says he's stalking me. But he is trying to serve you the papers. so that they could see. But then the police are like, yep, that's stalking. You keep showing up here trying to get his attention. And it's like, it's so crazy to think that out of all the corruption, with policing in the U.S., this is the one that has people burned up. This is the one where it's like, those police can't do that. Why you arrested Ben trying to do something right? Why you arrested him? See, it's all because you're Mormon. It sounds like a conspiracy theory. But then you watch it play out, because they even say, so what Ben ends up doing, instead of even trying to serve Josh anymore, he just comes up with a GoFundMe campaign for the people who own the Legos, so they can get some money, so that way they can maybe be made whole, because it doesn't look like they're going to get their Legos back. And it doesn't look like they're going to see these people in court. And if they do, it's going to take years potentially. So then they start the GoFundMe. And they're about to put up a GoFundMe sign across the street from Josh's house. And across the street from Josh's house is a sign. I can't remember exactly what it said, but it said something like, "Hi, I steal from the elderly," right? And then wouldn't you know it, and so they barely got the sign up. They really trying to put the last strap on one of the signs, and the police show up. And the police are over here talking to them and asking them what they're doing. And then one of the guys says, like, look, we started this GoFundMe because we're clearly not going to be able to serve this guy. And then that guy says, well, this is defamation. I've never seen the police so proactive. I've never seen, do you know how many people are actually stalked? Like actually stalked. And then they go to the police station. Stalker probably see him going to the police station. And then the police tell them, yeah, dang, that sucks. But there's not much we can do about it. These police are over being proactive on Josh's behalf. They're saying this is defamation. And then they arrest the guy that's trying to put up the sign. But what for? The defamation? You have to be sued for the defamation. Which would be great, because then he would be in court for you to serve him his papers. It's wild. All this is happening. This man got my name. When you ever see somebody using your name, you like, stop, you're bad at it. You are terrible at being Josh Johnson. I'm at least regular. You over here making a bad name for all of us, and there's a lot of us. There's so many Josh Johnsons in the United States of America that you could just be going about your business and be mistaken for a Josh Johnson that you are not. It's happened to me many times. You'll just be living your regular life. You'll be doing everything you're supposed to do. Ooh, I feel a little sick. I got a sniffle. Let me go to the doctor. You go to the doctor. The doctor writes you a prescription. You go to the pharmacy. You pick up your prescription. So far, we're following all the steps towards wellness. And then you read the instructions, and they're not exactly the same instructions as the doctor gave you, but you're like, okay, he was going off the top of the dome, so maybe he got it wrong a little bit. And so then you take your medicine, and then you go to bed. And then you wake up with your feet on fire. Your feet are burning up, and just your feet, I cannot describe, just these, tingling and on fire. You lift the covers because you're thinking in your head, maybe somebody set my sheets on fire. You throw the covers off you, and all you see is your feet. They look regular. They look like just your regular feet, but on the inside, full of matches, all on fire. So you make a move towards the bathroom. You roll out of bed. You're not feeling your best right now, so you can't just get up like you normally would. Normally, you would just go ahead and slide out of the bed. But this one, you really got to roll and let yourself fall because nothing in your body feels right. And then you go to walk to the bathroom. But walking to the bathroom means stepping on these feet.
which are already on fire. Nevertheless, the pressure. So now you just decide, I'm gonna crawl to the bathroom. And you crawl to the bathroom, you grab the sink, you lift yourself up, you look in your own eyes, and they don't look regular. And all of this is because your name is Josh Johnson. And so is somebody else's who has blood pressure medication. And so, you know, you shouldn't, but you do just sort of sit on the toilet and wait to die. I don't know what it's like in Canada. I don't know how many Josh Johnsons there are, but I feel like a Canadian Josh Johnson. Even if he was a criminal, he'd be like polite about it. That's what I respect. Look. I was reading some of the Canadian news in preparation for coming here, and y'all, okay. There is a pilot. There's a pilot for Air Canada that flew for rounding up 30 years. And apparently, allegedly, you gotta use that for everybody. I don't know how litigious this person is. Apparently, this person was flying for 30 years for Air Canada without a license. Listen, I know this is like probably a crime or whatever, but clearly he is talented. No, I understand. Look, you shouldn't do that. Go get your license. But wow, I've never seen somebody doing a crime apply themselves so much. Think about that. Like, think about that. This man is not supposed to be in the air like that. Did it as a career. Landing, taking off. Look, anybody can take off. I could take off. This man over here, no crashes. No, no accidents or anything. Had to be perfect. He had a pressure on him that other pilots can't relate to. There are pilots out there right now phoning it in. They got a license to fall back on. They could get another job. You know it. You've had some hard landings. One time we landed so hard, I was like, that definitely counts as a crash. I know we kept going and everything, but the way we bounced, I didn't like that. Y'all broke the landing gear. I can feel it. Especially, it's one thing when you're watching a movie and you hear the wheels touch down on the runway, you hear like whenever you hear that drag sound. If you hear it in the plane, no, you should have slowed down. You should have yielded to the cloud or whatever, because y'all landing too hard. This man didn't even get enough complaints to be found out, really. Not only did he fly for Air Canada for 27 years, this man retired last year. I think if you retired, you should get away with it. Like, if you, like, come on now. He retired. And why y'all messing with this man now? He done. He already said he won't go fly again. He's literally retiring from a life of crime. Trying to turn things around, and y'all got... Crazy enough, too, his name is Jeffrey Wall. Jeffrey Wall never hit one. Names have so much power. They carry so much weight. Just a name alone
can change everything. It can change a room. There are some people that have ruined names. Like you'll meet someone and someone else ruin your name for them. You weren't even involved. You just got here. But they met too many people with your first name, so then they're like, oh, Nicole. And Nicole will be like, I just got here. What did I do? A name can change an entire room. Doesn't even matter how many people are in it. Like I say Trump. See? You see? Yeah, as soon as you say Trump, it changes the mood of the conversation. This is wild. You got this man. Everybody made fun of Biden for falling asleep. Everybody made fun of Joe Biden falling asleep when he was president, and a couple times when he was running. Everybody was over here, ooh, he too old, look at him, you know what I mean? Including me. I was like, hey, he shouldn't be asleep right now. But to be fair, listen, to be fair to Biden, to be fair to him, he did only fall asleep when things were boring. That is, go back and watch the tape, that's a fact. This man, Trump, is falling asleep when he is on camera in the Oval Office and somebody talking to him. Biden could get away with sleeping sometimes because he's so still as a person. There were some times where you were genuinely like, I don't think he's asleep. I think that's one of his blinks. Biden was awake when it mattered. Trump will be on TV for the nation, which you don't have to do, by the way. Half of these things that are on TV don't even have to be on TV. There's no mandate, there's no law, and if it was, would he follow it? Like, there's no law that says that he has to be on TV for the things that he's on TV for. So the fact that we all see him sleeping is like a double failure. It's like your ego and your inability to stay awake. That's why him falling asleep during like important meetings should be a secret. If we had any shame left as a country, no one would see him get. You know what really bothers me about him sleeping? More so than any time Biden fell asleep. Because, you know, there are going to be people that say one-to-one, why are you being unfair? Why are you coming down on Trump? Biden fell asleep too. This is what I don't like. This is what disgusts me and makes me genuinely very upset about Trump's sleep over Biden's sleep, is that Trump seemed like he getting good sleep. Do you know what it's like to live in the United States and watch that man get good sleep in front of you? I'm sitting there furious, like, I know he's not dreaming right now. You can hear him dreaming. Look at him. This man, because he's not just sleeping. Biden had the decency to do one of those long blinks, you know, like somebody telling you a story you don't care anything about it. Trump over here actually leaning. And you can tell he's dreaming from his eyebrows. You look at the eyebrows. This man over here dreaming with attitude. How did you hit rim immediately? That's not even supposed to happen. And now they're bringing a UFC event to the White House lawn. They're gonna fight on the lawn. They're gonna fight on the lawn at the White House. They're gonna fight at the lawn. They're gonna fight on the lawn at the White House. No, I just want you to hear how it sounds to the rest of the world. They're gonna fight on the lawn at the White. First of all, I didn't know the White House had that much lawn. They're gonna fight on the lawn at the White House. Who is it? The president is. Gonna fight on the lawn.
You know, it's like, and it's like they shouldn't just have a fight. It shouldn't just be a fight. There should also be like a Buick on blocks. No, they're gonna fight on the White House lawn. You know the White House. No, you know the place that he already tore up. They're gonna fight in front of a torn up White House. They are gonna make Washington, D.C. look as Oklahoma as possible. You got half the house demolished. You got a fight on the lawn. And look, I watch UFC from time to time. I love MMA. I watch a lot of MMA. But this is unnecessary. It's also a bad idea because it's an event outside, and there was just a shooting at the White House outside. This is why nobody believes these when they happen. No one has any like level of care or discernment or anything. That's why you look at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. There was a shooting, and then they continued the dinner. I've never had dinner good enough for a hot bullet. I've never been mid-meal and then had to leave for a shooting. You saw it was shooting at the White House, and it completely. No, we just don't mind anymore. That should be a big deal that there was a shooting at the White House. Hey, you saw every single one of those reporters had a different reaction. There was one reporter, you heard the gunshot, and look, you're a journalist, and you cover the president, so you should know what a gunshot sounds like by now. And so everyone had a different reaction. There were lots of people reporting White House in the background, and you were hearing the pops. And it was like 30 pops. You can't slam a car door that many times. You saw one reporter was over here as soon as the pop started. To her credit, as soon as the pop started, she was like, I really don't care about this job like that. And she went ahead and got off camera, moved out the way. She was done. Like, you go look at the footage, she was gone. She was like, nah, I'm good. I can do something else. I look good on camera. I can do plenty of other things. I talk well. And then there was a reporter. This man tried to keep reporting. You could see where he short-circuited a little bit, because he was gonna try to keep reporting, and then he heard like the 28th shot, and he was like, never mind. Like this man was up here like, today Democrats called out the pop Supreme Court for pop. You know what? And then he took the mic off. Why take the mic off? Just move. The mic is not weighing you down. Shooting on the White House lawn, and then you had that one reporter, pop, and then she was like, what is that? You know you've lived a good life when, as an American, you don't recognize gunfire. What is that? What, do y'all hear that? What is... When she leaned her head out, I was so mad at her. I don't even know her personally, but I was like, no. We don't check for gunfire head first. Oh, here. What is that? And then someone said gunfire, and she was like, oh. Oh. You got this UFC event on the front lawn. Freedom 250 concert. Confusing everybody. It's so insane. This is so stupid. This is like remarkably stupid. This whole thing, it's like, I get it, it's 250. You gotta celebrate, but not like this. Not like, this is like revolving door level stupid. This is the most infuriating. This is so dumb.
I've been very excited to come back to Asheville. Mainly because, I'll be honest with you, all right? This is as a visitor, this is outside looking in, I'm telling you. Y'all's food has no business being as good as it is. This is crazy. I live in New York and I'll meet people who are from Asheville and they'll tell you which 9 places to go. And usually when someone gives you a list of places to go and the list is longer than you could possibly visit, they're like, okay, here's 9 things, but these 3 are what you really want to make sure you don't miss. The others are really good, but these 3 are the best. Don't let yourself miss out. And I went to ask my friend, we got 9 recommendations, and I was like, so which are like the top 3? And they were like, top. I gave you 9 because you should go to 9. I'm only here for a day. How am I going to make it to 9 places? They're like, you need to make time is what you need to do. Y'all have a thing here where because the food is so good and some people aren't expecting it, you get people who just involuntary. You're at a restaurant, you're enjoying your food. It's good food, but you're used to good food. And then you hear someone else who's, I guess, used to gruel. Because then they taste the food and they're like, oh. And those sort of sounds, I think they're meant to be involuntary. It's kind of like a laugh. It's like if you try to force a laugh, you look insane. But if somebody makes you laugh and it's genuine, it's organic, you can feel it, it's a beautiful thing. When someone cooks something so good that it makes you just go like, wow. You can tell a difference when somebody's cooked something nasty and you try to keep up appearances because these are like your new in-laws or whatever, and you don't want to make a bad impression even though you didn't cook it, you know what I mean? But you want to be polite, and so you try it and you're like, oh, like you can't even remember how to do a decent one. The impression of a is so bad when it's not good. Oh, yeah. Oh, I've tried to fake an before. I did. I was at a friend's place and I hadn't seen her in a while, and then she was cooking. So when she cooked, I was like, that's nice that someone would make me a meal. I'm gonna at least try it. It was okay. She had made these like barbecue pork chops, but then had put them into like her own version of a pad thai. Thank you. There's a time to experiment, and then there's a time to be regular. Like, master being regular before you go off into your own realm of foods that don't exist like that. Like, she didn't try to recreate like an actual Chinese dish or something like that. This was just something she was like, yeah, I just threw something together. And it's like, don't ever throw again. You need to be pitching underhanded the way that you... This is crazy. Okay, so the plate had 3 pork chops on it. And it had, the noodles and some veggies and stuff. And the sauce was great, but this is the thing. A lot of people like to hide behind sauce. All right? There's a lot of culinary cowards out there. Terrified of their own cooking, so they're like, let's lather it in sauce. Let's basically make it crunchy or chewy sauce. And so she had the sauce in there, and I don't know how she did it. I don't know what happened. But one of those pork chops was raw. And this is the magic trick of it. I watched them be on the grill. I watched it happen. I watched her put all 3. I watched her flip all 3. I watched her take all 3 and put them on the plate. And then one of them just protested. One of them was like, no, being murdered was bad enough. I will not be cooked. And what do? I got this plate of food in front of me. And, if you go to somebody's place, and you're like, oh, I just ate. I just ate. Now that gets you out of a little bit of trouble. You still got to taste it, whatever it is, but no one expects you to finish it. You just ate. And then if they ask you what you ate, you come up with like 4 or 5 dishes. Show them you have no room in your stomach. But I had said I ate before I got there, which was true. I was never going to finish this whole plate, but I bit into the first pork chop, and it was halfway decent. It was a little tough. It took more chewing than felt comfortable or right. It didn't feel like eating so much as training my jaw. It felt like one of the only things missing from those Rocky montages. Like he need to run up the stairs, he need to punch the meat, but then he need to chew this. And then he'll be able to take on that Russian one that gave him so much trouble, gave him all the brain damage. You remember Rocky IV. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, I gotta bite each one of these, because then that looks the messiest, and then that looks like I at least gave it a fair shot. Also, taking a bite out of each one ensures she'll never do this to anybody ever again, because she can't repurpose it as leftovers. Because the only thing worse than nasty food is nasty leftovers. That means that somebody saw what they cooked and decided it wasn't a war crime, and then put it in a refrigerator and then microwaved it. Because you know how bad food's always better after being in the microwave. And so I went to take a bite of the second one, and it was somehow just as chewy as the first one. But that second one was, you could tell, I was like, man, this is going to be the thing that takes me out. This is raw meat. This is raw meat with sauce. I don't know how she did it to me, but she really gonna kill me. This is an op. And so then I took a bite of the third one. And the third one actually, wow, Goldilocks, because that one was not bad. That one, and maybe it took less chewing, or maybe my jaw had just been conditioned to the point where this third one was like easy money, because I was used to eating raw pork chop and eating tough pork chop. Said all that to say that she had the nerve. She had, okay. She's a good person, but she had the wherewithal, which is insane. She had the wherewithal to ask me how it was, even though she could see my eyes, because I was giving it away. I was tearing up. I was eating raw meat to be polite to you, my friend. I'm not doing what I want to do. What I want to do is, why would you do this to me? Why would you, after the first bite, why would you do this to me? I thought we had a real friendship. Why would you try? Who put you up to it? But I was like, she's like, how is it? I was like, already my eyes are too wide for me to lie. How is it? You see how it's not believable? Because they found what apparently, I don't know this
for certain. I'm just reading a bunch of what is being sent out online, some of it from news sources, some of it from like independent journalists and stuff like that. But apparently they have the shooter's manifesto, right? And in the shooter's manifesto, he specifically says who he's targeting in order. And for some reason, he specifically made a point to leave out Kash Patel.
No, we should sit with it for a second, because what? Literally the director of the FBI, this dude want to get everybody, and then you have to be doing such a bad job as FBI director for the shooter to be like, you know what, you good where you are, actually. I think honestly you doing more damage here than I ever could, so let's just leave you in. It's wild. Specifically left off Kash Patel. Kash Patel's over there running with Secret Service like he was a target or something. Meanwhile, the shooter's like. And I don't know how much of this is rumor or actually reported, because it's coming in from people who were there, but then it's murky. But there's a world where it looks like what happened is that Kash Patel, running with Secret Service, did leave his girlfriend. Did leave his girl, which blows my mind. This is your girlfriend, Kash. Your girlfriend. It's more surprising that you have a girlfriend than it is that you are the FBI director in Trump's administration. You left your girlfriend. This is your shot, man, to have a girlfriend. You left your girlfriend. You weren't even a target, and you left your girlfriend. His girlfriend was in another room being consoled by another man that was brave enough to stay with her, I guess. Imagine that story. Imagine that story. Mom, Dad, how'd you meet? Well, son, your mother used to be dating a coward, and this is one of the most overworked Secret Services in the history of the presidency. This is wild. Like, not since Reagan has the Secret Service had to make sure they. Every day, Secret Service gotta have on comfortable shoes. They have no idea where they gonna have to jump, who they gonna have to pull, or anything, which I know is part of the job. Technically, that's part of the job at all times, right? Like, every president, since the beginning of the presidency, especially after the Civil War, has received threats, and, like, we have to make sure the president is protected and everything. And this is the first time, though, I'm not gonna lie, where we have a president who actually talk like he got Secret Service. So, like, everywhere he goes, he's like, say something, do it, I don't care. Trump talked like I would talk if I had Secret Service. Like, I bet you won't do nothing, though. How about it? Nah, show me. I want to see you do something. Go ahead. Get him, Derek. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, because look, Secret Service job is tough. It's always been tough. But at least with Biden, the most you had to really worry about was the ground. No, you know what I'm talking about. I know Secret Service all around that White House. Like, he taking steps again. He taking steps. Somebody get over there. Eagle is taking the first step down. Watch him, get under him, underneath him. Because you know Secret Service was embarrassed. They had to have been embarrassed when Biden fell off that bike right in front of him, right next to him. They didn't even throw a hand out to catch him. You know you could have caught him. You were standing right there. Biden's over that bike. And you saw how he fell. He fell like he fell out of the sky. And now, you supposed to be Secret Service over here, not even catching him, throwing a leg out. You should have been on the ground already to catch him. That's the president. But this president hitting different. This president stressing Secret Service out every day. He's talking to whole countries like it's a bar fight. Like, like, look, what was that, Iran? What was that? I bet you won't do anything about it, though. No, we taking everybody out tonight. Come and get me. And now Secret Service over here. Sir, please. Trump, when it comes to talking, got the most my boyfriend knows karate vibe I've ever. No, y'all seen that. No, you seen a woman get into an argument with a man at a bar and be like, and my boyfriend a cop, he gonna beat you up. And now you the boyfriend, you come out of the bathroom, don't even know you walking into a dangerous situation. You just washed your hands too, hands slippery and everything. You're not even ready to grab back and forth with somebody, start tussling.
Names have so much power. They take us to a place immediately in our mind off of hearing a name. I remember when I was growing up, I grew up in Louisiana, so I grew up around a lot of people with like 2 first names. Like there was this girl growing up, this girl named Mary Ellen. And Mary Ellen, you know, there are some people who look exactly like their name. Her name was Mary Ellen, and she looked like Mary Ellen. Like, it's not just because I've never met another Mary Ellen. When she said her name was Mary Ellen, I was like, that does check out. Like, she looked exactly like Mary Ellen. And you had to say it all together. Nobody called her Mary. She was Mary Ellen. And Mary Ellen loved to fight. No, Mary Ellen will rock you, too. Like, there was... Like, Mary Ellen loved to fight boys, too, so that they wouldn't take her serious right away, and she had a nasty hook. And she hit people with the hook, and they would... It's usually you have to watch professional fighting to see somebody get hit so hard that you see the sweat come off of... You know what I mean? Like, in the summertime, Mary Ellen would get a fight, and she'd punch a boy, and a boy head turn, and then sweat would just fly up. Imagine getting hit so hard, your sweat is like, I can't be a part of this. Imagine getting hit so hard, you sweat extra. She punched the moisture out of these boys. Imagine somebody hit you so hard, you land dry. Mary Ellen will rock you quick. And Mary Ellen had a crush on one of my friends, and she walked right up to her. Mary Ellen was fearless. She didn't just love to fight. She truly, like a fearless individual. In high school, she joined powerlifting team, and she would do squats at parties with the beer keg full. Full. She was strong, and then nobody wanted to ask her to stop. You waiting for the party to start. You over here, Mary Ellen, do you mind if we, go ahead and tap so we can start drinking? Mary Ellen over here, no. Like, all right, I think she need a couple more minutes, y'all. Never mind, leave it alone. Mary Ellen had a crush on one of my friends. She walked right up to him and she was like, I'm Mary Ellen. Which, look, to be fair, that's her name, but that it still felt like a wild approach. Like, Mary Ellen was coming through with so much like energy that just her saying her name, I was like, that's a little much. Mary Ellen walked up, was like, I'm Mary Ellen. And he was like, oh, okay. And she was like, I like you. And he was like, oh, thank you. And she said, you should know, I drink, I smoke, and I burp. And then she burped in his face. And now they're married. I'm not gonna lie to you. I never talked to him about it, but in my head, I'm like, he might not feel like he has a choice. It's like, yeah, that's a tough one. This. Man, I think about my name sometimes. Every name has meaning. We're given these names and we're giving them sometimes on behalf of other people that you'll never meet. You're a baby. You come into this world and you have to have a name so that people know what to call you. And I just personally believe that there is a lot of power behind names. What you call someone, what they answer to. It's a big part of how we see each other. It's why someone's name can change the whole mood in a room. It's why sometimes you meet a person, and maybe because you've had so many good experiences with somebody of this name, it's not even conscious, but you just immediately warm up to them. You see it in people sometimes. You'll have a conversation with someone. Maybe you say your name, they're like, oh, my brother's name is Brian. It means so much to us that we have to say whatever that connection is. I think about my name, and depending on who you ask, and depending on translation and tradition, Joshua can mean delivered by God, or like as a messenger, or like as a vessel. And I didn't know it until this week, but apparently it can also mean someone who steals from the elderly.
So it did happen today. We lost Spirit Airlines. Man, this is very bad. This is just so you know, look, we made a lot of fun of Spirit Airlines, and a lot of it was warranted. I'm gonna do it tonight. But you should also be very aware that if people always love to play recession indicator. You know, people are always like, oh, you know, the price of cookies is up. That's a recession indicator. Or, oh, people aren't buying tickets to as many baseball games. That's a recession indicator. I'm not an economist, but I think a whole airline shutting down might be a recession indicator. This is very bad. They closed. Okay, so Spirit closed at 3 a.m. this morning. Everyone who I know has quit a job. Nobody I know has had their job quit at 3 a.m. It's just 3 in the morning and your job call you like, I'm not coming in today, so. That's what, so basically they shut down all the operations effective immediately. And when they said immediately, they meant like like immediately means like while you're still in the air and you're landed. I'm thankful everything landed immediately, right? They shut down immediately. And the thing that's heartbreaking about this is that Spirit Airlines did have a lot of fairness to it. You know, we live in a world where there's an expectation around decorum, right? There's an expectation socially about what you can and cannot do based on the optics. And Spirit never cared about any of that. I'm sure some of them found out in the air. That's gotta be terrible. Like, it's one thing to find out you don't work where you work anymore. But to find out in the air has to be different. Because here's the thing, if you work for like a trucking company and they did you dirty, they went ahead and said, hey, we've dissolved as a company effective immediately. This isn't even a company. You won't even get paid your hourly rate. We'll pay you for the hour that we were still operating, but now into the future, you could just get out of the truck and be like, go find your own inventory then. If you... But it's a play. Like you at least, if I was Spirit, I would tell specifically air traffic control not to tell them anything until they landed. You know what I mean? Like, imagine, because you can hear some of the like correspondence between air traffic control and some of the pilots even now. People landed, and air traffic control is like, sorry about what happened to you guys. And then you hear the pilot be like, what? No, it's not. It wouldn't be fair to put that on air traffic control. Their job is already hard enough. They would definitely let it slip. They got too many things to worry about. And so then, you know, the president says that it's done. We're not doing war anymore. This is just, no. Which is weird because everyone's not back that you sent. Do you know what I mean? Like, I imagine if you are in the military and you're in Iran for a reason related to the war, not war that we're having, you see that the president has said all the operations are terminated, and you have the same amount of confusion as a Spirit Airlines employee. Like getting an email from the company. Uh-oh. And I look, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Like, I don't really get it either. Because this thing, I think it supposedly just sort of resets the clock in their minds. They're like, we're going to say that everything's terminated, but then next week, first thing on Monday, we're going to be like, they did something. We clearly have to respond. And they'll resume, and we'll just do a war, not war, 60 days at a time, I guess, until we can we win? I don't really understand what the point is anymore, because my thing is, whenever you're in an actual fight, because once again, remember, micro, macro, right? What should work for you and I as individuals has to work, at least by logic, on some bigger level. You can't just mix it all up because it's a bigger idea. I understand it gets more complicated the bigger something gets, but like, if it doesn't make sense for you and I, it doesn't actually make sense in a bigger way. And any fight that I've been in, I was pretty aware I was in a fight. Do you know what I mean? I've never been tussling with somebody like, are we fighting? No, because when you're in a fight, it's very clear that the person trying to fight you is trying to fight you. And so then, I've never been in a fight where I was like, is it a fight? And then whenever I've been in a fight, I was very aware whether or not I was winning the fight. If I'm on the ground, I'm not doing great. That's never my plan, to be looking up from the ground in the middle of the fight. And I think I'm always aware, while in the fight, how to win the fight. You know, just punch balls. Like you just punch. Look, you try to fight like a gentleman at first. Look, you do your best, but when you're clearly outclassed or he's bigger than you, you just give it a kick. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's possible this time. We're in a war, and we're reaching a sort of choking point with our fuel. There's talk of if the strait stays closed, how hard it'll be on farmers for fertilizer, all these other supply chain issues and everything. And I don't know, like, you would think if you let the president tell it that any day now they'll be begging for us to end this war that we're not even in. But every day that he says that, every day that he posts how hard we're winning, they post a music video of Legos that really make it feel like we're not winning. The music video of Lego, I don't care if it's AI or not. If you got time to make a music video with Legos, you're not as down bad as the president is saying you are. This is... And I can't help but feel like Spirit is just like the first big domino. You know? Because what is going to happen now? Now that you can't fly cross country for $2.50, what is going to happen now? Truly, like I think that Spirit closes, and some of the other airlines are whatever worried about trying to take up some of that market share. But I think if you see Spirit close and you're Greyhound, like all right, you have to teach these drivers how to box. It's sad to lose something like Spirit, because everyone else, you know, they're doing their best, but they don't bring that same energy. You know, you need in any industry a clear bottom. And now what'll happen? Now this is rough. Because who is it gonna be? Yeah. Everybody's got their complaints about every airline, don't get me wrong. But like we're being honest. Maybe Frontier. Maybe Frontier. Southwest better watch out. Frontier and Southwest competing for next. I like Southwest, but you know what's funny about them is that they really try to slowly be one of the regular airlines. But every change they make, you teach people how to treat you, whether as a person or as a company. You teach people what they can and can't get away with in front of you. Oh, and so there are things that Delta might do with points on their cards. There's things that JetBlue might do as far as like upgrades and everything. But they train you how to treat them. And for a long time, Southwest was that airline that gave you like Spirit prices with American Airlines atmosphere. This stuff was cheap, but it felt like it was all part of a plan. You know? Spirit would be cheap, but it'd be cheap in a way where you felt like through your ticket you were giving them gas money. No, everybody got a cousin that hits you up. Look, I need $12.50, all right? I need $12.50 till payday. You know I got you, okay? Southwest had this vibe that was like, look, we are trying to offer you the most reasonable price and the most comfortable experience for the regional airlines that were going to be able to fly you, you know? So you didn't see a bunch of Southwest flights going everywhere, but you saw them going to plenty of places, offering some good service and everything. And then, I don't know if it was a new CEO taking over. I don't know if they were just feeling themselves, but they were like, we're going to eliminate the free check bag. And everybody with their full chest like, what'd you just say? No, I want to hear it again. What'd you just say? I know you must be out of your mind. You Southwest, all right? Don't come over here doing Delta, United, JetBlue stuff. You're Southwest. The only reason I fly you is for the check back. Oh, you gonna make me slap you. You gonna make me slap you. You bringing out a side of me I don't like. You stepping out of your place, Southwest. Got everybody lined up in the airport like it's snack time at school, and you want us to pay for check bags. You must be out of your mind, Southwest. Now boarding A, 1 through 50. Who came up with this system? The only reason I didn't say anything is because you had the check bag. You got me standing next to people. You can't just call groups like everybody else. You gotta get us to stand up there because y'all don't have enough employees, don't have any organization. You know what you need to do is have the free check bag. Because now you don't have the free check bag. I'm starting to notice that your airline too. You over here too. I sit down, I press the button, I go, that's unacceptable now. If I'm paying check bag money, I need reclining money. The idea that you would say with your full chest, we're gonna start charging for bags like you're somebody. Like you gonna tell me what's about to happen.
I don't even fully understand what happened when it comes to Spirit's downfall. I knew they filed for bankruptcy. In the first bankruptcy, I understood. When they first filed for bankruptcy, I was like, yeah. Of course. The second time they filed for bankruptcy, I was like, y'all never got out of the first bankruptcy. I guess I don't understand how business works at all, because I thought that if you filed for bankruptcy, you were bankrupt. I didn't know you could go back to court and be like, oh no, we broke. We need a whole second bankruptcy to go on top of this bankruptcy. Like, even when you play Monopoly, you're just out of the game. You don't have to now work for the game and file another bankruptcy and put down another mortgage on Park Place. Like, that's a wild thing. So they were bankrupt, and they were bankrupt because I don't know what the chapters are. The chapters also feel fake to me. I know I don't understand business. I don't know what chapter 7, chapter 11, but like the fact that in the book of bankruptcy there are different chapters that mean different things, I'm like, nah. No, because I personally, and I don't know if you've heard me talk about this before, but personally, I think that anything that works on like a micro level kind of works that same way on a macro level, unless you are using specific jargon to try to confuse me. Do you know what I mean? Like if something doesn't work between us as individuals, then it doesn't really make sense for it to work when it's a big company. Not really. If I lend you money, and then you spend my money, and then you're out of money, and then you tell me you're out of money, then you're out of money. Seems pretty straightforward. I don't really think you're not out of money because you go get a loan from somebody and you still haven't paid me back. Like that doesn't make sense to me. But once again, I understand business. Maybe this is all business. But they filed one chapter of bankruptcy and then they filed for the sequel.
And then they were asking for a bailout from the government. Like now, like that was that. I mean, that's why they're closed. They wanted a bailout from the government now to tune of like, I think $500 million, which if you need $500 million and no one is trying to kill you, you're bad at business. There's one thing if somebody like trapped you in an alley and put a gun to your head, they were like, give me $500 million, I'll kill you. And then you were like, okay, just give me some time to get the money. It's like, you got 1 week. Now, okay, you need $500 million, but for a very good reason. But if you run a business and you are negative $500 million, I understand the margins are thin. I get that. I get that the margins on airlines are razor thin. But if you see 500 million on a piece of paper and all the letters and numbers are red, you might be worse at business than me. Like, I at least don't understand business. You supposedly do business. I've only ever been negative $24. I'm not saying I'm better at business than the people who are running Spirit, but I'm just saying on paper, I look fantastic.